So good afternoon, everybody. Today we are going to do a brief recap of our topic from last day, procurement and inventory management. Those of you who are following from in your textbook, it's on page 243, it's chapter 17. Okay. Okay, so we are going to do a brief recap, which means that I'm going to be asking questions and you all are going to be answering. So I'm going to ask the questions and I'm going to unmute the class and I'm going to ask questions and you guys are going to follow it with me, right? What is the main objective of the procurement department? What is the main objective of the procurement department? Raise your hand if you know the answer. What is the main objective of the procurement department? All right, let me hear Jill. Go ahead.
The main objective is to ensure the supply and delivery of quality goods and material required in the business at best price.
Perfect. So the main objective of the procurement department is to ensure the supply and delivery of quality goods and material. However, it has to be at the best price. Very good. When a company purchases office equipment, stationery, and any sort of supply needed in running the business, what is that called? When you purchase office equipment, stationery, and any supplies needed to run the business, what is all of those things called? Anybody? Raise your hand if you know the answer. Anything that you purchase for a business is known as? Okay, I have Jael again. Yes, Jael, go ahead.
Is it stock?
That's right. Whatever you purchase for your business, whether it's equipment, whether it is stationery or any supply that is needed, all of those items that you purchase, it is considered to be stock. Very good, right? So it's called stock. Now, last day we discussed different functions of the procurement department, right? One function of the procurement department was to manage inventory. What does that mean? What does that term mean, manage inventory? Please raise your hand if you have the answer for me. What does it mean to manage inventory? Anybody, any thoughts from last day? We discussed two terms last day. We discussed something called overstock and something called understock. What is overstock and what is understock? Dominic, go ahead.
Overstock is when you have too much goods, and understock is when you have too little bit.
Very good. So when we are talking about manage the stock, you have to ensure that the business isn't overstocked or it isn't understock, and it's exactly the definitions that you gave there. Overstock means that you have too much products, and understock means that you don't have enough products to sell. Very good. Sourcing suppliers. Next one. The next function of the procurement department is to source suppliers. Why exactly would they have something to do that function? Anybody? Raise a hand. All right, guys, so we are looking, like I said, at the second point, it's sourcing suppliers. What would be the need for that? And that question is going to go to Jaden. Jaden, can you shed any light for me there? Does anybody want to help out, Jaden? JL, okay, great. Hold on, JL. Let me get. Okay,
Okay,
JL, go ahead.
right. Was the purpose of sourcing suppliers again?
Right.
Was the question? Right, okay.
Yeah.
That they will investigate on materials that can be bought from various suppliers will benefit the business.
Right. Remember, suppliers are the people who is actually going to supply the business with the raw materials, right? Therefore, the procurement manager will have to source suppliers of materials. And while he is doing that, he has to ensure that he is getting it at a very competitive cost. So it's not just sourcing alone, but the manager has to ensure that the price is also right. Very good, Jail. Negotiating terms. Who wants to take that one? Shavin, you? That's not Shavin. Go ahead, Shavin.
The procurement management will, the procurement manager will also negotiate delivery and payment terms with suppliers to get the best price for goods purchased and to ensure that delivery is prompt.
Right. Remember last day we discussed that when you are negotiating terms, for example, if you were to buy a bottle of water in the supermarket and you buy that same bottle of water in a small shop, it's likely that the water from the supermarket is going to be cheaper. Why? Because the supermarkets, they buy in bulk, therefore they're able to negotiate their terms. So if they are taking a certain quantity, they are able to get it at a better price. It means that if they get something at a better price, they can pass that price to the customer, right? Unlike the small shop, they would not be taking items in bulk. Therefore, they will have to sell items at regular prices. Right, guys? Understood? Yeah? Show of hands if you'll understand. Good, good. Placing contracts. What does it mean to place a contract? What is a contract, firstly? A contract is what? POB, let me hear. What is a contract?
A contract is an agreement which is legally binding.
Yes, a contract is an agreement which is legally binding. Now, sometimes a contract could be something written and signed. A contract could also be something verbal. So, for example, if the supplier agrees to sell you a certain item at a certain cost, and you agree, a verbal contract is made. So a contract doesn't always have to be written. A contract can also be verbal. Once an offer has been made and the person accepts a a contract is made. Let's look at the other one. Maintaining supply records. Maintaining supply records is very important. Why? The purpose of maintaining supply records would be when we have to reorder items, we have to know when is the correct time, which means that you must have a minimum level and you must have a maximum level. So when goods get to a certain value, it means that you have to place an order because you don't want for all of your goods to run out and then you don't have things to sell, right? So you have to maintain your supply records and always know whatever items you have in stock, right? The procurement department will also liaise with other departments. Why? Because the procurement department is the one that does all of the purchasing. So whether you work in sales or HR or advertising, wherever you work, whatever you need, if you need paper, you need paper clips, you need pens, you need cartridges, whatever you need, you have to fill out something called a requisition. And that requisition is then sent to the procurement department, and they will place the order to get the supply. Do we understand those points? Everybody, do we understand those points?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Yes? Great. Let's go to our next page. Right, I told you all that you were supposed to go through the different terminologies on that page, which we would look at later on. Let's look at the duties of a purchasing clerk. So the first duty of the purchasing clerk is to prepare and process requisitions, which is what I was saying just now there. Because remember, all the requests will come from all the different departments. So the purchasing clerk has to ensure that all the requisitions are collected. The purchasing clerk also has to make sure that when the goods are delivered, that it is matched back against those forms to ensure that all goods were received. Do we understand that first point, everyone? Do you understand that point, everybody?
Yes, miss.
Yes? Okay. Your second point, filing of purchase records. Remember, when stock is bought, when stock is bought, right? Money is spent. Therefore, the purchasing clerk has to hold on to all purchase records, which includes receipts, delivery notes, requisition forms as proof of payment, right? So so all those things have to be filed away. Maintaining stock records, that is what we discussed earlier when we said that you have to ensure that your stock levels are always kept up to date, because you want to make sure that you don't have overstock and that you are not understocked. Maintaining a database of suppliers. So the purchasing clerk could do one of two things. The person can either have a manual database or the person can have a computerized database. So the person can either have something written in a book, or the person can have something that has cards, or the person can have everything on a computer system. So when you're looking for a supplier, you would know exactly where to go to get what particular item. Verifying orders received, that is what I discussed earlier, that the forms is used to match back the items that is being delivered. Depending on the size of the organization, the purchasing clerk may have more than one job. So in addition to being the purchasing clerk, if it's a small organization, the person might also be the secretary as well, right? So the purchasing clerk can have multiple roles depending on the size of the organization. Any questions there on the duties of the purchasing clerk?
No, miss.
No? Okay, right? Are you guys okay? Yeah? Attributes of the procurement clerk: integrity, honesty, initiative, and pays attention to detail. Let's look at the other side. Procurement procedures for purchasing and acquiring goods. Urgency, quality, cost, incentive, availability. Let's look at the first point, urgency. Sometimes, depending on the item that you are selling, if you run out of an item, and let's say you are accustomed shipping the damn thing item, because you might need an item right away. If you were to ship something, it could take days. However, you may not want to put off customers. So instead of purchasing an item abroad, it might be worthwhile to purchase it locally, only because the item that you need it urgently. Got it? So depending on the urgency, sometimes you might choose to shop locally as opposed to shopping abroad. Do we understand that point, urgency? Everybody? Yeah, show of hands. Is everybody okay? Good. Quality. Organizations are always looking for the best quality. Of course, you're always looking for the best quality, but also at the right price. Sometimes a company might choose to purchase something that is a little bit more expensive because the item will last longer, because you don't want to sell inferior goods. You don't want people to complain about your products. So even though cost is very important, they don't always go with the cheapest. They also look for quality and how long an item will last, right? Incentives. Incentives are something we discussed earlier as well. For example, your suppliers might give you a certain amount of goods at a certain price if you take a certain quantity. Again, the example with the water being sold in a supermarket as opposed to being sold in a small shop. The bigger businesses, they get a lot more incentives because they can afford to buy in bulk. Availability. Availability of a product is also important because we are talking about product variety, right? And it means that you can shop for the very same item at different places and you could compare costs. So for example, I would have spoken last year about if when you all are shopping for a book, people might go to Charon's and get the price. You might go to RIK and get a price. You might go to a different bookstore and get a price. And then based on the price of the very same item, you can then make a decision where you want to purchase the item, right? And those are your points under procedures for purchasing and acquiring goods. Let's go to the other page. Procurement procedures. Procurement procedures. Okay, so we are looking at that. Procurement procedures, and the very first thing that we are looking at is catalogs and price list. Now, in some businesses, a catalog could be in the form of a hard copy colored manual. In some businesses, a catalog could be something that is online. For example, Amazon, Best Buy, Walmart, they all sell items. You could go online and you can browse, right? You can go online and you can browse. They have all of the information about their products. They have the costing. They have all their charges, how to ship, and all these things. So all of that information can be found online because they have an online catalog. Smaller businesses that who may not be online or who is now starting up may not invest in a website immediately. Therefore, a small business would probably have a printed catalog. Now, the thing with a printed catalog is this. If prices change, it means the entire catalog will have to be reprinted. Therefore, in some businesses, there is a separate price list, which means that it's easier to update a price list than it is to print an entire catalog. So a catalog can either be a physical book, a manual, a magazine, or a catalog could be something online. Of course, if prices have to change online, it's a lot easier because the web administrator just has to go on their end and make whatever change. Do we understand that point, guys? Show of hands if you understand what I'm saying about catalogs. Good. Issuing tenders. What is a tender? A tender usually usually advertised in the newspaper. It's usually sent out by large companies or government organizations. Tenders is usually for supply of goods or supply of services. Usually when a tender is printed in a newspaper, people are invited to send in something called a quotation. The quotation would give details about the products and the service and the costing and that kind of thing. The organization that issues the tender will have a certain budget to work with. So those tenders received that fall within that budget, they will make a determination who they will award the contract to and how long that person is going to get the contract for. Do we understand issuing tenders? Are we okay, guys? Show of hands if we okay. Good. Moving on. E-commerce. What is meant by e-commerce? When we hear the term e-commerce, we are thinking about shopping online. So when we go to Amazon and we shop, that is known as e-commerce. When you go on Walmart and shop, that is known as e-commerce. It means that you are buying goods online. Okay, and of course, e-commerce will have its advantages and disadvantages. Right, I want us to look on page 248 on the document used in the procurement department. Are you all there, guys, on page 248? Just raise your hands so that I'll know. Good. There are two main documents that is used, and the two main documents would be the requisition form and the order form. Right, the order form, it's on one of the previous pages. The order form shows you quantity, what you order, the price, and the total cost of what you are ordering. And your requisition form is the forms that is collected from all the different departments stating whatever items that they need to continue work, right? So we have the requisition form, we have the order form. What's the importance of inventory management? The importance of inventory management: one, prevention of pilferage, and that means stealing. So companies will keep track of stock to ensure that employees or customers are not stealing items, so that they would know exactly how much items they have in stock when they sell items, right? It's also a way of signaling market trends, right? It's a way of signaling market trends. Where we spoke about last day, certain items sell more than others at certain times of the year. For example, Christmas time, a lot of what sells? Tell me. At Christmas time, a lot of what sells, guys? What do you all see
Christmas
in the
lights.
supermarket? Okay, Christmas lights. What else?
The tree.
Maybe trees, maybe ham, turkey, right?
Decoration.
Right,
Toys.
right. So during the Christmas period, all the different suppliers of toys and trees and decorations and food and whatnot, and close to that December month, you would see that the supermarket stock up more on those items as compared to other times during the year, right? Why? Because there is a demand. So where there is a demand, the organizations have to supply more to meet the needs of the customers, right? Let's look at the other one. Monitoring capital. Remember that money is considered the capital of a business. Therefore, you have to know how to spend your money wisely. Because if you buy too much stock, it means that money could have been channeled somewhere else. However, it's not being channeled because you would have overstocked. Therefore, you have to know how to use your money wisely. Do you understand that point, guys? Monitoring capital, you have to know how to spend cash in a business. Monitor the cash flow in a business so that you're not overstock and you're not understock. Monitoring storage space is also very important because if you overstock and you don't have enough space to store your goods, chances are you'd probably have to look for a second space in which you have to use to store your goods. So you have to monitor how much storage space you have in order to determine exactly what you have to get. Just in time. Just in time means that the minute something runs out, you are able to get stock just in time. So there isn't a very long waiting period. Any questions to me so far? Anybody? No, everybody's okay? Good, moving on. A stock card. An example of a stock card can be seen in figure 17.2. Your stock card, it shows you a record of receipts and issues of an item. It also shows you the minimum, maximum, and reorder levels for that item. Reorder level simply means this is the time that it takes between placing an order and the actual delivery of the product. That is your reorder level time, the time that you place the order and the time that you actually get the stock. Minimum level represents the least amount of stock you can possibly have. Receipts simply means the items that you purchase, and issues simply means the items that you sell. I want us to look on page 253, use of computers for stock control. You will notice that every single item that we purchase now, it has a barcode on every single item, a pencil, a bottle of water, whatever we purchase now, it now contains a barcode. What is a barcode? A barcode, if you look at your figure there, you would notice that it's a series of different thickness of vertical lines. What information is on that barcode? The barcode contains things like product code and stock identification number. Your barcode uniquely represents a product, right? A barcode uniquely represents a product. Can anybody tell me how they think barcodes work? Let's take an example. A popular example of where we see barcodes is in the supermarkets and when the cashier is cashing our items. Does anybody have any idea how I'm thinking barcodes work? Anybody? Shavin, okay, hold on. Go ahead, Shavin.
I think barcodes like give prices of the items.
But how? How does it work? Now remember, I just told you that the barcode simply has a product code and a stock identification number, which means that the price is not on the price of the item is never on the barcode. You know why? Because if you go to different places will have different prices depending on what price that their supplier would have given them, right? So it's highly unlikely that 3 or 4 places will sell the same exact items at the same price, right? Because so the cost of the item is not stored on the barcode. But does anybody have any idea how barcodes work? JL,
Well,
go
it,
ahead.
it was
Mhm.
scanner first and foremost. The
Right.
scanner. And on the system, it has the prices
Yes.
for that specific item. And
Good.
every single place is different with the prices because the barcode is not the price, it's just the item itself.
Very good, JL. Very good attempt there. So basically what happens is that in a supermarket, you will have a main computer system. On this main computer system, it will have a database. On this database, you will have all of your products, all the product information. The cost of these items, it is not on the barcode, it is actually set by the persons who purchase the goods. So the procurement manager is the one who can set the price. Of course, the procurement manager has to ensure that if this item is something that is available elsewhere, the price has to be competitive because you don't want your price to be too expensive because then people, they are not going to buy your product, right? But the price is actually set by the procurement manager. From our end, what we see is when we cash an item, the cashier scans it. The barcode, when it is scanned, it is matched on the database. So the database links the barcode to a product. And when that item is scanned, all the product information, which includes the price, appears on the cash register screen. Yeah? Now, because this information about products is stored on a database, it offers something called real-time processing. And what real-time processing means that the minute somebody purchases an item, it is immediately taken away from stock. So it keeps an automatic check, which means on that system, they can actually set things like reorder level, minimum level, maximum level, right? All these things they can set. And when it gets a certain number, it can then be flagged, and the procurement manager will now know that it's time to order more goods. Okay, so that is how your barcodes work. Any questions on that, guys? Anybody? Any questions on barcodes?
No, miss.
No? Good. Right, so further reading, it's on page 253. Okay, so before we move forward with anything, earlier, those of you who are in the group, the OA group, a document would have been shared earlier. Right, and I'm going to share my screen to show you that document. Just I want us to get started on this particular question for me. get started on this question, I'm going to stop you in parts and we are going to correct it. So let's look at 6A first. And I'm going to call on people to explain these 3 different terms to me. Go ahead and get started. Please do all the writing in your books. Okay, guys, let's start correcting. Let's look at the A part of the question. You are to explain these three terms. Can anybody tell me the first one, free on board? Can anybody explain what is that? What is free on board? Show of hand for somebody who wants to answer the question. Okay, I see Dominic. I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead, Dominic. You do the first one. Free on board. Go ahead. Dominic? Go ahead. I unmuted you there. Go ahead. What does it mean, free on board? I'm not hearing anything. Anybody else wants to attempt that question? Free on board? All right, I see JL. Go ahead, JL. Free on board. Go ahead.
Right. Free on board is when the supplier pays carriage and handling charges for delivering the goods on a ship.
Continue.
While the purchaser pays the import charges and cost of transportation to his premise.
Very good. So free on board simply means that the supplier pays for the goods. The supplier, sorry, pays the carriage and the handling charges for delivering goods, and the purchaser has to pay all their custom duties and costs of transporting the goods to their premises. Right? So that's FOB, CIF. CIF stands for cost, insurance, and freight. It entails the cost of importing the goods, the purchase price, the cost of insuring the goods, and the freight charges. Let's look on page 244. And X works simply means the cost of the goods only, which means that the purchaser must arrange and pay for transport and delivery. So the first part of this question here, with these terminologies, we can find on page 244. Please go to page 244. I'm pretty sure you all found it already. Page 244, and each one is worth 1 mark. Okay, let's look at B of the question. State 3 ways in which modern technology at point of sale checkout counters have facilitated inventory control. Think of this answer here. I'm coming back to you to see what you will come up with. Okay, so ways in which modern technology at point of sale checkout counters has facilitated inventory control. So remember we were discussing barcodes earlier. Right, we were discussing barcodes earlier, and we are talking about how to use point of sale. So point of sale is that system that the cashiers use. It's called a point of sale system, right? So point of sale checkout counters have facilitated inventory control. Okay, I'm seeing Jaya has a hand up. Let me hear her.
Miss, this is not my answer to the question. My phone is glitching out really bad.
Oh,
So I don't know, and it's making me leave the class every so often because the same phone overheating.
is it the
So
internet?
I don't know what's going on, but it keep kicking me out.
It could be the internet connection that keeps dropping, perhaps. Perhaps it's that.
But the thing is, it's been 5 bars the entire time.
Oh.
So I
Well,
don't know
that's
what's going
okay. If you get bumped out anytime you just something come back in, right?
on. Okay.
Okay. So how does barcodes help with inventory control? How does barcodes work with inventory control? So one possible answer. One, it automates the process of inventory by keeping a record of all the goods in stock. It automates the process of inventory, for those of us writing. It automates the process of inventory. It automates the process of inventory by keeping a record of all the goods in stock. Do you have that point, everybody? I'll read it over. It automates the process of inventory by keeping a record of all the goods in stock. Does everybody have that point? Can I see a show of hands? Right? It automates the process of inventory by keeping a record of all stock. Your second answer. Point of sale checkouts helps the retailer to be sure about the figures regarding their inventory. Point of sale checkouts helps the retailer to be sure about the figures regarding their inventory. Your third point, I'm taking from in your text. The point of sale checkout can be programmed to reorder stock automatically when the minimum stock level is reached. Look on page 253. You'll see the answer there in the last paragraph. right? So your third answer is coming straight out of page 253. Point of sale checkouts can be programmed to reorder stock automatically when the minimum stock level is reached. By a show of hands, does everyone have all three answers there? Right. Perfect, guys. Very good. I'm very proud of you all. Very good. Let's look at C. So in this one, you have a little bit of drawing to do for me in this one. Can you all see this question properly? Assume you are Zoe Hart, a clerk in the purchasing department. You have been asked by your supervisor to place an order for the following items. So what you have to do for me is do a rough sketch of this form here in your books, draw it up, and start to fill out the information. And then we will go through it together. But go ahead and do this rough sketch, draw it up, and start to fill out all of your information. Go ahead, I'll give you 2 minutes to get that started. All right, guys, so what information goes here? Who is this purchase order being made out to? Tell me, look at the question. Who is the purchase order being made out to?
Miss, hold on. I just came back from doing something for my mother.
No problem.
Just give me a second to read it.
Sure. For the rest of us who are here in class, Bala, Mamadou, Sarvana, Nathaniel, what information goes here in this area called to? We have to, date, and address. What information goes here? To, date, and address. The information is here in the question. We just have to pull it from here and write it into the table. What information goes here in the 2? Who's the items being purchased from?
Stationery Supplies Limited.
You seen it? That's it. Perfect. Look right here. So the 2 part is right here. JL is correct. So the 2 part is here. Stationery Supplies Limited. Look, the address is right here as well. So this goes in 2. The name of the business is in 2. And look, the address is right here. I don't think it's specified a date, so it's safe to use today's date here. Right? So Stationery Supplies Limited, the address is there and the date is there. In your books, drop that quickly, write up 2, date, address, and fill out the information. Then we're going to fill out this here. We will use the information from on the top here to fill out the information here. So I'll call on you to on you guys to just give me the total cost.
Miss, is it sad to say that I forgot what today's date was?
It's the 24th of April.
I do.
What goes in quantity? Let's look at the first one. The quantity is how much for the first item? Which number here represents quantity?
The numbers like 3 boxes, 5
Good.
boxes.
So in quantity for the first one, you'll just have quantity 3. So 3, and the description would be
3 boxes.
Yeah.
Envelopes.
So here could just be boxes, envelope, and you could have the size 12.5 by 19. But only the figure goes in here. The quantity is just a figure, and the description will be worded boxes, envelope 12.5 by 19. 40 would be the unit cost. I'm calling on Suri to answer. Suri, what is 40 multiplied by 3? Or anybody who works out the calculation first. 40 multiplied by 3. All right, guys. So we already identified that in 2, we are putting Stationery Supplies Limited. In address, we have the address here, and the date will be today's date, 24th of the 4th, 2020, right? Under quantity, we are looking at the first line here. Under quantity, you will just have the value 3. The description will be boxes, envelope, 12.5 by 19. The unit cost is 40, right? The unit cost here is 40. What is the total cost? The total cost would be 40 multiplied by 3, which is
120.
120. Perfect. Now make sure you all are writing this down in your books, right? Make sure and write it, because when we get to the calculations before, I'll need back the figures, right? So make sure you all writing it down and not just answering verbally. Right. Are you all doing that? Everybody has that first line?
Yeah, miss.
Yes.
Right? Okay, well, let's go on to the second one now. We have the second line. What goes in quantity on the second line here now?
5.
Just 5. Perfect. Just 5 goes here. So in quantity, just 5. In description will be boxes, airmail, envelope, 5 by 12. That is what goes in the description column. So put that in description and write in the unit cost, which is 25. And then you will calculate for me the total cost, which will be 25 multiplied by 5.
125.
125.
125, perfect, right? So 125 goes for the second one. Let's look at the third one. What goes in quantity?
One dozen.
Perfect, no. So
That's
just one goes here, and description will be dozen, accordion, files, 12-inch.
So,
Right,
miss,
so
if you put 12 in the quantity, you'll get it wrong.
what's that?
If you put 12 in the quantity,
No, that's fine because 1 dozen is equivalent to 12, right? But if you're going to put 12 here, don't put the word dozen. Understand?
yeah, because then that'd be
Because
12 dozen.
perfect, right? So if you're going to use the value 12, just put 12 accordion files. 12-inch, $50 is the unit cost. 50 by 1 will still be 50. Right, so that'll be your total cost. Can you add up the 3 figures you all got for these 3 items and tell me what is your total cost?
845.
So that's the answer. So the answer is 845, and that's it for 7 marks. Okay with that first part? Everybody got all the calculations. Everybody got the 845 as the answer. Everybody got it?
Yeah, miss.
Yeah? Okay, perfect. Let's move on to the second part. The second part tells us that a quantity discount of 2% has been applied to the price of the envelopes. Now it says envelopes, which means plural, right? So remember we have envelopes at 40 and envelopes at 25, right? What is the two total costs, leaving out the $50 here? What is the two total costs here for these 2 items here on the top? What was the 2 figures that we had there?
Miss, can you repeat that?
What is the 2 answers we have here for the top, for the envelopes? What is the total cost? What was 40 by 3 and what was 25 by 5? What are the 2 answers we have there?
120 and 125.
120 and what?
125.
125. So that will give us a total of 245. So find 2% of 245 for me.
Miss, what percent?
Look at here, 2%.
Oh, okay.
2% of 245 gives us what? A discount of how much? Two divided by 100 multiplied by 245 gives us how much?
4.9.
So that's $4.90, right?
Yep.
So for this wording, you could probably say total cost of envelopes equal 245. Next line, 2% of 245 is equal to $4.90. So 245 minus that 2% figure gives us what? So it's 245 minus $4.90 gives us a total of what? What is 245 take away $4.90 less?
$240.01.
And 10 cents.
10 cents, sorry.
Right? Yeah, perfect. So the total now for the envelopes, instead of it being 245 because of the discount applied, is now 240.10. So if you were to revise this, it will be 240.10 plus the $50. What is 240.10 plus 50? It will give you a total of $290.10.
10 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Miss.
Yeah. Okay, before we move on to anything, I'm going to give you all a short break time because I'm seeing on current my time here it's 2:35. So let's take a 15 minutes and come back, right?
Okay, miss.
So at 2:50, you guys would be back, right?
Yes, miss.
Right. So manage your time. Go ahead, take a short break and come back. Okay, guys. So we should be back from our break time by now. And we are looking at this question here. So you're going to come up with the answers to me for question 5A and question 5B. I will check A first and I'll call on someone to answer. Take 2 minutes and see if you all could answer that question for me in your books. Explain the meaning of the term just in time as it relates to inventory management. Who wants to take that question? Just in time. We discussed that just now. It's in this very same chapter, just in time. Who wants to answer that question for me? Just in time. What does it mean? Shavin, you could unmute your mic and go ahead.
Just in time is to have the supplies a firm needs at the exact moment that they are needed.
Perfect. So just in time means that you have supplies at that exact moment that you need stock, which means that you are not storing stock anywhere. The minute you need stock, you have stock immediately, right? So that is correct. Just in time is to have supplies a firm needs at the exact moment that they are needed. You would find information for just in time on page 248. Right, if you'll go to page 248, you'll get some information there. Start working on this one here. Are we okay with this one? Everybody got the answer, right? Yes, show of hands. Everybody got it? Yeah, good. So we're looking at the other one now, disadvantages of too much stock. Too much stock means overstock. So what are two advantages of overstocking?
Two disadvantage of overstocking
Mm-hmm.
are one, if there's too much stock, more storage space will be needed.
Right, so that's one perfect answer. Very good. So one, if there is too much stock, additional storage space will be needed, which can incur additional expenses, right?
Right.
Right, so that's a very good point there, right? Additional, right? So one disadvantage is that Additional storage space will be needed, which may incur additional expense, right? What else?
2, if the organization does not have enough space, it may be necessary to rent or buy additional storage that will incur additional expense.
Right, which is the point I just tied in there, right? So right, so for overstocking, one of the disadvantages that you just gave me was if you overstock, you will need additional storage space, which may incur additional expense, right? So that's one answer there. Another disadvantage of too much stock would be the company's cash flow may be affected as money that can be spent elsewhere will be tied up in the stock. Right? So basically the cash flow will be affected as money can be spent elsewhere will now be tied up in stock. If you look on page 243 on manage inventory, you'll get both answers from there. At the top of page 243 on manage inventory, you'll get both answers. Are we seeing them?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? So let's just write it out from there. All right, I think you all should be okay there. Can I move down to the next question?
Yes, miss.
Yeah. So this is another one where you're just filling out information. Just make it a little bit bigger for you. So again, you would drop this table in your books quickly, and then we'll look up here and we'll start to fill out the information, right? So get started on drawing. All right, guys, what goes in this area here for 2? What information are we putting in here? Look at your question. Tell me what goes in the 2 area.
Miss, would it be Pete?
No. Pete is the
It
clerk.
could be.
Right. Pete is the clerk, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is going to place an order from who?
Matthew.
Matthew.
Limited.
Perfect. Perfect. So that is who this purchase order is going to. So the person who,
Oh,
so the company that's supplying all of this is who Matthews Company Limited. So that is what two goes here. Matthews Company Limited, and the address is right here. So the address can be filled out. They didn't give you a date to work with, so you can safely use today's date here. Right, so 2 will be Matthews Company Limited. The date is today's date, and the address will be 17 Pier Drive, Antigua. You see this area here underneath, prepared by, you'll put Pete's name here. Prepared by, yeah, that is where his name goes. Pete Danvers goes here at the bottom. Understood? It's just that mine cannot fit unless I make it smaller, and if I make it smaller, I think you all wouldn't be able to view the page. But this document would have been shared on the OA group. So if you all are there, you all could just open it from there and look as well.
Cool.
And then you're going to take this information for me, these pieces of information here, and you're going to fill them out in this part of the table here.
Right.
So go ahead and once you finish, fill out the information here on the top. Go ahead and start filling out the information here now for me.
Okay. $50, $500, $190. Finished.
Wow, we finished all of it?
Yeah.
Okay. You have to work out here too?
Yep.
And here too?
Yep.
Wow, very good. So what do you have? So let's look at the first one. What do you have for this first line here? Quantity has what?
5.
5. And then the description will be dozen, number 2, HB, pencil.
Pencil.
Perfect. Then the 20 goes here.
And then you take.
Let me hear you. Then you take.
And then 2 and 20. The unit price multiplied by the quantity will be 20 multiplied by 5 will give you 100.
Right. So that's your first calculation here. So your first calculation under here is 100. Does everybody have that line? Show of hands. Let me just make sure everybody has that. Does everybody have that line? Good.
Yeah.
Good, good, good. Let's look at this. Who wants to do the second line? Just unmute your mic and do the second line. Whoever wants to do the second line.
Quantity,
Good. Quantity 2. Description would be
box, letter size,
envelopes. Yeah, so boxes, letter size, envelopes would be the description. The unit price will be 25. So 25 by 2 is
50.
50. Very good. So your second line is 50. Very good. Who wants to do the third line? Shavin, go ahead.
10 quantity,
10 in quantity.
Reams legal size paper,
Good. Reams legal size paper.
50 times 10 is $50 for unit price.
Right. 50 for here, and then 50 by 10 gives us 500. Good. So that's the third line. Everybody has up to there so far?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes,
Okay.
miss.
Good. Let's look at the last one. What goes there? What goes in quantity?
3.
3. What's the description? Packs. Sarasa 0.7 black ink pens. So the
Blocking
text,
pen.
right? So the text goes in here. What goes in unit cost?
50.
30. So
$30.
good. So 30 by 3 gives you
90.
90. Okay. Good. And what we do here now, we take all the totals that we got from these 4 items, we take all the totals, we add it up here and put one overall total. So add up everything and tell me what you'll get as your answer here when you add it up.
$1,190.
Everybody agrees? Anybody else can confirm that answer by adding it up?
Yeah, Mrs. White.
He's correct, right? Very, very good, Suri, right? So that's the overall answer here. Very good. And then remember, at the bottom here, we have to put what? Do you remember?
Pete Denver.
Very good, right? His name is on the top. So just take the information from on the top. I'm trying to, right. So Pete Danvers, that's the name that goes here at the bottom of the form. Very good.
Somehow I feel like we did this question.
I have that feeling too, but I can't remember. But it's good if you all can undo it back and you're not flipping back to look at any answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, guys, when we are finished with those questions, I want us to take a look here. And we're going to go through some of these multiple choice questions. Now, some of these questions should look very, very familiar to you guys because we've been doing a repeat of some of these questions and all the various tests that we have been doing, right? Yeah,
Yes, miss.
good. So let's look at the first one together and let us go through the answers together, right? Which of the following organizations will at some time be involved in office activities?
D.
D. It will go for all of them, right? It will be for
Yeah.
all. Yes, very good. It will be for all businesses. That is correct. Remember the functions of the office: productivity, distribution and exchange of goods and services, collection, processing, and preservation of information, um, organizational management and legal control, and dissemination of information. And all of these businesses will entail different office activities. So yes, your answer will be D. Very good for the person who said that. Second one, you are a clerk in a small organization. Your supervisor is the secretary and the head of the organization is a general manager. You feel that some improvements can be made in the filing system. Which of the actions should you take? So you are a clerk. So you have the general manager, we have the supervisor who is also the secretary, and then you would be under there, right? If you had to draw that organizational chart, right? So on the top, we have the general manager. Under the general manager, we have the supervisor slash secretary. And under this person, we have you, and you are the clerk, right? If you have a suggestion to make, who should you go to? Should you go to the supervisor or should you go to the general manager? Who is right
Miss,
above you?
Supervisor.
Right. Therefore, if you're following the chain of command, the clerk is third. Second in line, we have the supervisor, who is also the secretary, and above the secretary, we have the general manager. Therefore, if you have something to discuss, you will take it first to the secretary. Understood? And the secretary in turn will then take it to the general manager. Do we understand that chain of command, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. So based on that, which one of these answers you think is most correct there?
D.
Which one?
D.
No, remember we just said that the general manager is first. Under the general manager, we have the secretary. Under the secretary, we have you, who's the clerk, right? The clerk cannot go directly to the general manager. Why? Because there is a person in between. The person in between is the secretary.
Secretary.
Secretary, exactly, right? So if you have something to say, you have to take it to the
Secretary.
very
So
good.
it's A.
Very good. So if you have any actions that you would like to take, you have to take it to the secretary, who will then take it to the general manager. Got that? So yes, your answer is A because that's the chain of command, right?
Right.
Good. Which one of these office equipment, which of the following pieces of equipment reproduces replicas of original documents?
A photocopier.
A photocopier, exactly, right? Everybody knows that the photocopier produces duplicates of original documents. Very good. So question 3A. Let's look at 4 and 5. Right, sorry, please mute your mic there, or you only unmute when you want to give me an answer. Thank you. Let's take a 2 minutes, read through question 4 and question 5, and come up with an answer for each, and then I'll correct both. Right, I'll come back to you now. Just go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Okay, the duties above could best be performed by the
Cost account clerk.
right, because if you look at these duties, they then deal with what? Accounting, right? So yes, the answer would be the cost accounts clerk. Very good. Let's look at number 5. Your regular lunch hour is from 1200 hours to 1300 hours. So that's 12 to 1, right? But you have an appointment between 1300 and 1400. You should request, read through these and tell me which one you think is the most appropriate request there. What will happen? Now you're having lunch from 12 to 1, but then you have an appointment from 1 to 2. So how many hours would you be missing work? Twelve to 1 will be 1 hour, right? 12 to 1 will be 1 hour. And then 13 to 14 would be another hour. So that's 2 hours in total. Do you understand that?
Yes,
Yeah?
miss.
Right. So in total, you are missing, on this particular day, you will be missing 2 hours of work, lunchtime and the hour right after lunch, right? So what should be your request here? Look at these responses, A, B, C, D, and you tell me which one you think is the most suitable request.
I think it's D.
Definitely, the answer will be D, right? What you can do is just ask a colleague to switch their lunch hour so that instead of you leaving from 12 to go for lunch, you will just leave the time when you have your appointments. In that way, it does not inconvenience anyone in the organization. Very good. So yes, the answer is D. That is very correct. Yeah? You all okay with the first 5? Can I move down?
Yes, miss.
Yes, I'm moving down. Take a few minutes, go through this from 6 to 11, and then I'll stop you and we'll correct.
Miss, can you please zoom it?
Sure. That better?
Yes, miss.
Just let me just go back up. There. What is repetitive stress injury? What is meant by that term? Repetitive stress injury. Anybody?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. It's basically when you use like are their hands too much or
Yes.
like
Like
yeah,
if
like
you're in like let's say you're at a desk job where you have to use the computer all the time, or you're maybe sitting behind a desk answering the phones all the time. Yes, you would develop something called repetitive stress injury. It means that you are in that one job where you're spending a lot of time in that one position, and I mean you are not moving about. So it causes a situation they are called repetitive stress injury. And the question is, which of the following factors can contribute? What can contribute or cause repetitive stress injury? Which one you think is the answer there? Look at the answers, look at the suggestions, look at your answers.
Miss
A.
B.
Which one? Is it A or B? I'm hearing two things.
I
A.
said
And who's saying B?
me.
B is actually correct. Because repetitive stress injury will be caused by poor posture because you are not sitting properly, and prolonged computer use, definitely. Right? So the answer for question 6 is B. Very good. Look at number 7. Take 2 minutes, read through question 7, and then examine the most suitable answer. Those of you who were in class this morning, we were discussing something this morning called degree of urgency. Number 7 applies to that. An officer left last night for a 3-day business conference in another Caribbean territory. So this person is traveling. You have just seen on your desk a copy of a letter which you had prepared for his folder, right? Which means that he forgot to put it in his folder, right? Which of the following is the most appropriate action to take? So this person needs this particular letter. He does not have the letter. So of those answers there, A, B, C, D, which one do you think is the most appropriate action to take at that point? You can just unmute your mic and give me the answer, whoever has the answer.
C. Tell him the details of the letter by telephone.
Very good, exactly. Remember, we were discussing this morning degree of urgency, right? Now, a lot of students might think the answer could be A. How many of you thought that the answer was A? Anybody thought that? Right, a few of us thought that the answer was A. Why? Because we believe, and although it's true that email is very efficient, email is fast, and so on, remember that this officer is traveling, right? So you cannot assume that this officer, because the question didn't say if the officer have access to Wi-Fi or if the officer has data and whatnot. So even though you might send the email, it doesn't mean that the officer would be able to get that particular email in time. Therefore, based on degree of urgency, the best option would be to pick up the telephone and call and give him a direct message. So very good. So yes, the answer for number 7 is C. Right? Telephone is the way to go there. Look at question 8. Do you all remember that question from this morning?
Yes.
Yeah, this question actually repeated in the past paper we did this morning in a totally different subject, and you'd notice how these two subjects linked. Because the same question we did this morning is the same question that we are seeing in this class. Who can give me the answer for question 8?
A.
Very good. A memo is only used within an organization. Very good. Memos are only used within an organization. Great. Question 9 and 10 is there. Written communication from members of staff. Which one would be most appropriate there? Written communication from members of staff.
B.
Not quite, but one of the answers in B is correct.
C.
Yes, C. Right, so the answer for question 9, the answer is C, letters and circulars. Number 10. Number 10 will test your knowledge on how to use a telephone directory. You're in the yellow pages, and you have to find Thomson Electrical Services. How would you go about looking for Thomas Electrical Services? What are the steps? Read through your answers and see which one you think is most appropriate. Thomson Electrical Services. What exactly would you look for first? Would you look for Thomson first, electrical first, or services first? Which one?
Services.
Good. Always the last one, right? Right. So you have to start looking under services first, right? Which one of your answers there have services first? Which one of your answers there start off with what I mean number one? Option what and option what? Tell me.
B.
B and
D.
D, exactly, B and D. So you know automatically that A and C is incorrect, right? So we know for Thomson Electrical Services, we have to look under S for services. What type of service does Thomson supply? What type of service?
Electrical.
Electrical. So under services, we have to look under E for electrical. So that will be number 2. So which one starts with number 1 and number 2?
D.
D. So therefore by process of elimination, your answer is D. 1, 2, and 3. So when you find electrical, then you'll find Thomson Electrical Services. So your answer for number 10 is D. I'm going down to number 11. Read through the question, look at your options, tell me which one is not noticed. Always pay attention to words in the question that's in capital letters. Which of the following is not proper telephone etiquette in a business environment? Not proper. Which means that 3 of those responses would be proper and 1 is not proper. So which one is not proper?
A.
No, look again.
C.
No, allowing the person who called to end the, no, not that. Look at the answers again.
Miss D.
D is the answer, right? You will not answer the phone with a cherry hello. Can you imagine that you will call a company and they're like, hello or hello, understood? Nobody, right? So that is not proper telephone etiquette. Got that, guys?
Yes, Miss.
Yeah, so you will not answer the phone with a cherry hello. However, you are supposed to have a professional tone. Understood? So the answer for 11 is D, right? Now, I don't want you also to just be guessing the answers, but work it out by process of elimination. Let's look at number 12. Read through number 12. Pay attention to the capital letters. Give you 2 minutes. Read through number 12 before we do the answer. It is your first day at work. The office manager is discussing your duties. During the course of the meeting, she leaves the room to attend to another matter. While she's away, her cell phone rings. Which of the following is the most appropriate action to take?
B. Let the cell phone ring.
Exactly, B, let the cell phone ring because that phone call has absolutely nothing to do with you. So you leave that to ring. When she comes back, she will see that she has a missed call. So I agree. The answer for question 12 is B. Look at question 13 for me. Read through question 13 and decide the answer there. I'm coming to ask you now. A staff member has asked the receptionist to make a person-to-person call to Mr. Ray. Which of the following procedures should the receptionist use?
A.
No, it's not A.
C.
Right. Remember, the person wants to make a person-to-person call, which means that the person is there. So the person is there and wants to speak to Mr. Ray. So the person wants the receptionist to make a person-to-person call. So what the receptionist should do is dial Mr. Ray's number and connect the member of staff to Mr. Ray when he's on the line. So yes, the answer is C. Look at question 14. Has to deal with time zones.
C.
Very good. The answer is C. Very good. And how did she come up with that? The time in England is 5 hours ahead of Barbados. So when it's 2 o'clock in Barbados, then it's if it's 2 o'clock here, it's 2 o'clock plus 5 hours. 5 hours ahead of 2 o'clock would be what time? 7. Very good. 7 o'clock, right? And according to the 24-hour clock, 7 o'clock will be 1900 hours. Very good. All right, remember remember we did that with the table conversion on page 179 of your textbook. Page 179 of your textbook. We are going to pause here for today, right? The balance of this paper, you all are going to complete it for me for next day of class, right? So from question 15 straight down to question 60, you all are going to use your notes and you are going to determine the answers for me. Everybody, so you're going to do from 15. Homework is from question 15 to question 60, which is due the next day of class. Understood?
Yes, miss.
Yeah.
Yes, miss.
Please make sure you all take some time and go through your notes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Right. So so like I said, we're going to pause here for today. So that's it for today, guys. And until next day, right?
Bye, miss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye, man.
All right. Any questions or anything before we go?
No. No.
No. You're okay?
Yeah, miss.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, with that being said, we will continue. Like I said, we'll continue this paper from 15 to 60. Next day, we will go through the corrections together, right?
Yes.
Yeah.